All right, here is the frame. It's been through the ultrasonic, and so you can see on here the coating, the black coating was removed, and under here was a little tiny like copper coating. Some of that came off, and we're left over with a zinc alloy frame, of course. So I wonder if that copper coating was probably meant to provide some kind of conductivity, since the frames are energized. It's mighty thin though. We're going to eliminate all that. Now, what are we going to mill out? Okay, so when the frame is together, all right, let's take my pen. Okay, let's bring in the motor. Now, okay, so when a frame is together, okay, front over here, motor in here, goes like this. And those of you who have had these where the motor, the motor that comes with it has this little, has these collars around the end, sometimes they dry rot and just crumble apart, and they're always a problem. And I've fabricated those and stuff. However, let's just take a quick look at this for real. So the motor fits in here. We don't need these. We don't need these parts at all. At all. And now I'm thinking, why did I ever go through all the trouble of fabricating a collar to fix a locomotive? That's just not necessary. We're going to get rid of this little step here, because the motor that comes with this has the old 1980s housing on it, where it had a little kind of a step on one side that fit right here. Okay, we're getting rid of this whole thing. We're getting rid of all this. We're getting rid of this. We don't need it. We don't mount motors that way. This thing inside here with the number on it, that's going away. And on the outside, we're going to cut it off there and there. We're going to cut all that off on both sides. We're getting rid of all this. We don't need it. It doesn't serve any structural purpose, as you can see. It just sits inside there. Serves no structural purpose. Let's just get rid of it, because it's nothing but trouble. So we don't have to work around it. Do the same thing. We'll mill out this part, and then there'll be a little trough in the bottom, and we'll do the usual way. We'll shim it till we get it, and then goop it. That's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to cut this, and I'll put it in the mill. All right, I've been trying a number of things, and using the cutoff wheel on the Dremel tool, wherever you went. Oh yeah. So using even the fiberglass one, like this guy, big old fiberglass one. It's a lot of work, and it's a lot of mess, and it's not that effective. And I did it even in the milling machine when using a cutoff wheel. Let me show you the easy way. You take a big chopper like this, and you just go ahead on and clamp on there, and both hands give them a squeeze. It's zinc. And now we can shape it with the milling machine nice and easy. See if we can get to here. I'm trying a deeper cut on this one. See if I can get way down in there. Yep, you sure can. Oh yeah. That's what we want. Now this part's easy to mill after that. See if we can get this guy. He's got a little extra piece on him. See how we can get in here, and we'll clip that guy out just like that. And then we're going to go ahead on and we'll get him in the jaws here, and there. Alright. Enough with the trying to figure out ways to cut it. Let's just take the big chopper and snip it. There it is. That's my Klutch mini milling machine. For those of you who want to know, it is item number 49657. I got it at Northern Tool. And the reason I did that, this machine is not special. There are many other places. Harbor Freight sells it. You can buy it online. A bunch of places. I bought it at Northern Tool because it wasn't cheap. I had to save for like 2 years to buy this. I think it was like $1,700, and I had to save up to buy this plus this vise. This vise was $100. Yeah, if you're a steel guy and you are a machinist, okay, my setup is not for you. I mill plastics. I mill zinc and aluminum. I rarely do steel. But this is a good machine. And this is a machine I go to almost every day in the workshop. This machine gets used. And it's great. And I got a bunch of 4-flute mills. I've got some 2 flutes. I've got some fly cutters. And it's an awesome machine. I love it. But if you're a professional, don't take my advice, because I just use this the way that I have learned to use it. Now, I've watched a bunch of the pros' videos, and that's how. And one of the pros, I think it was Joe Pye. It was either Joe Pye or Frank Hoos. One of them two is the one that told me what setup I needed to get. Right there in that box right there are parallels, and I use those machines parallels, and I saw them at Harbor Freight on the shelf. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to mill that frame, and this is our machine, and I love this machine. Now here's the problem: what we're milling happens to be zinc alloy. Let's grab it. This here is zinc alloy, and there is no good way to clamp this. There just isn't. See this? You can flex it. Okay, so there's no good way to clamp it. I've already done all the others, but this one spot here has left to mill, and I'm going to show you how I mill it. So let's get it in the vise. Now, I can't use parallels on this. It's not possible. So I got some wood blocks that I use for all kinds of different things. You see my 675 block and all that. So I got some wood blocks. And I need to clamp this. So I need to set it on something to get it up to the height, and I'm setting it on this wood block. See that, how it falls in? There's no parallel for this. I can't use a parallel. It'd be great if I had a piece of wood wide enough for this, but I haven't made one. And as you can, if you can't see, the way I am tightening this is with my fingers. Like that. I'm not cranking down on it using, we don't crank down on it with the handle, because this thing will just bend and break. Now I got another wood block that just so happens to be approximately the right width. If I let this go, enough, I can put this guy right there. And okay, so I'm going to put him right there. That's going to help me hold it. All right, let's go in again. And that's going to help me hold it. And I'm only doing this as tight as my fingers can go. I can't crank it because I'll wreck it. Now let's get into it. One of the things that I do that machine shops don't do, I do a lot more chip control. So as I'm doing this, all these little things that fly off here, I have a shop back right there. And if I can't see what I'm working on, I will stop and I will take the shop back and I will remove the chips. The chips are all the metal shavings that fly off. Now right now I have a 4-flute mill in here, just about the right size. I can't use a big one because I need something a little precise, because if this thing gets caught, and it's soft metal, if it gets caught on this, it'll shoot this thing through, or it'll rise up and it'll wreck everything. So the other thing I can't do is a lot of back and forth like that, because if it gets caught, it will just push this thing out of here. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this video, then I'm going to start a new one, and I'm going to go through the whole thing. I'm going to do it all. I only got one spot left. I'm going to do it all. You can see it. And then when I render this in the video editor, I'm going to compress this so it only takes like a minute. I don't know how long it's going to take. It's probably like 15 minutes for me to actually do this. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. I don't know if you'll be able to understand me once I speed this up, but here we go. I got some Marvel Air Tool oil in this thing, and I'm going to put it on my cutter. 4-flute mill. Yeah, I know about there are other kinds of cutting fluid, and I have them, but this happens to work nicely for soft metal like this. All right, I need to lock in this thing. This dial, there's a dial up here. There's a dial right there. When you lock in the lever, then you use this to make adjustments up and down. So I'm going to lock it in, and then we're going to do this. Okay, I'm going to turn it up slowly. Now I'm going to find out if I'm on. Yep, I'm on. Just touching it. Now I'm going to go ahead and max it out. Here we go. I cannot go side to side like this because it will rip the thing out of the vise. So we got to go. We're going to have to go this way. We got to hit all that blue marker that I put on here. I don't want to go too much at a time or it'll rip this thing out of the vise. Remember, this is only hand fight. If you get too many chips, we're going to start the shop back. So far, we're looking good. I'm doing this really fast because I've already done 3 previous ones. Instead of getting chips, let's hit it with the shop back. Yeah, I've done this before. Not my first time. We're getting close. All right, you've reached the bottom. Now let's get off this. Let's get the nub that's left over out of here. All right, now we're going to go down below the level. We're going to shave off that nub so I have to file it. There we go. Just right. That's it. We're done. We made it. That's it. All right, so like I said, this Klutch mini mill is one of my go-to machines. This is probably the second most used tool in the shop. The first one is that 3-inch grinder, which I use definitely every day. But this thing has got to be second. I use it a lot. And my setup here was not expensive. If you're a machinist and you're going to do steel, my setup is probably not for you. You will want a better vise, probably better tooling. I can get away with using the cheapest possible tooling because the hardest thing I'm doing is like aluminum and zinc. That's it. That's the hardest stuff I'm doing on this. And it works awesome. And like I always say, if you can clamp it right, you can mill it. If there's something you are going to file, but you can clamp it, you can mill it. Now, that being said, What if you wanted to do what we just did with the Dremel tool? Could you do it? Yeah, you could. All you need is this. You put on some headphones or some earmuffs, and you take your high-speed cutters on your Dremel tool, put your piece in a vise, because you could put it in a vise different ways. If you're using a hand tool, you could actually clamp that thing nice, and you could do this. All you got to do is dig out these spots like we did on this mill, and if you use your Dremel tool with some high-speed cutters, you know what I mean by high-speed cutters, right? You pull one out like this. Okay, this is one of them things you get at Menards for a couple bucks. These kinds of things. You can do this. You do not need a milling machine to do this. You can do it. And cutting off those things, as we already showed, use a big chopper side cutter. You can cut them off. We used our mill. This Klutch machine is an awesome machine. And I got it from Northern Tool because I didn't have to pay shipping if I ordered it from the store and they could bring it on their regular truck. I had to wait a while, but it saved me like $300 because this sucker is heavy. I think new in the box it's something like 150 pounds. And I built this bench here. I built this bench super heavy. It's 4x4s and 2x4s just for this machine. Works great for me. If you're going to do steel, you're going to have to do better than this. You're going to have to do a lot better than this to do steel. But there it is. That's how I use my Klutch. And it's a great machine, and I love it. And I would have to say that if you got the Harbor Freight version or any other version of the same machine, it's well worth it. I have used it so much that it took me months to save up to buy it, and I think my entire setup was right around, it was like $1,700 plus maybe another $200 in supplies. It's just under $2,000, I think, is what I had to spend. And it took me, I don't know, like 2 years, and I saved up and I got this, and it's awesome. It's totally worth it. It does all kinds of cool stuff. All right, now our frame is ready. I'm going to file and clean up what we did, and then we'll get on to the next part. I'll probably paint those frames gloss black.